O mare plăcere să o invit alături de noi pe Andreea Ioniță, VP în cadrul E.ON România și personajul care se ocupă de digitalizare, CIO, Chief Digital Officer, Chief Information Officer în cadrul E.ON România și unul dintre membrii pe care noi, Asociația CEO Council, cu care noi, Asociația CEO Council, ne mândrim foarte mult, pentru a modera panelul care urmează și care trebuie să consolideze, să spunem așa, ideile de astăzi. Te rog. Panelul, mă rog, avem și o mică chestiune de logistică. Ne pare rău că Andreea, în calitate de moderator, va sta în picioare, dar va fi în regulă tot.
Bună dimineața tuturor! Îmi cer scuze pentru vocea asta cu AI Impact, așa sună, ca un chatbot cumva. Nu e nici de la party, nici de la băutură, e pur și simplu de la sezonul ăsta, care între cald și rece și climatic, nici nu mai știm în ce anotimp suntem. Mă bucur tare să fiu la încă o conferință CIO Council, e o mare plăcere și sper să mă țină vocea până la finalul panelului. Nu pot să nu observ în continuare lipsa de diversitate din sală. E ceva care discut cu Hugo constant, cum facem să îmbunătățim raportul doamnelor în toată comunitatea CIO Council, dar oricum avem vești bune, adică paycheck-ul crește în următorii 2 ani pentru zona feminină, așa că poate ăsta e un motiv bun să atragem mai multe doamne în comunitatea CIO Council. Nu o să insist foarte mult pe topicul AI, s-a discutat deja la primele sesiuni ale conferinței noastre. Personal și pe mine mă pasionează topicul mai mult din paradoxul pe care îl aduce, adică e clar o dezvoltare și o tehnologie care ne schimbă radical viața și fără de care nu mai putem. Pe de altă parte este însă și extrem de controversat, lucru care ridică foarte multe scenarii, cum îl folosim, care sunt eticile, este sau nu reglementat, avem capabilități care să poată stiruiască întreaga această tehnologie, e un impact bun pentru business sau din contră vine și cu multe riscuri la pachet. Deci sunt foarte multe întrebări la care nu cred că avem încă răspunsuri, dar avem un panel extrem de interesant astăzi, așa că îmi face mare plăcere să invit pe scenă pe Emilia Ciurea, Enterprise Account Executive Google Cloud, Iurie Cojocaru, partener Nestor Diculescu Kingston Peterson, Remik Sieminski, Regional Sales Manager SolarWinds, Răzvan Butucaru, partener Financial Services and Advisory Leaders Mazars și Laurențiu Mandu, prietenul nostru de la CIO Council Board Member. I will switch to English. First of all, a big hand of applause for our panelists. Indeed, it is a very strange setup. It's the first time I'm actually running a panel on this in this format, so I will try to be with my eyes on you, but equally on them. Thank you very much for joining us for such an interesting topic, and I'm really happy also to have Emilia to break a bit the diversity in this panel. You have to open there. Yes.
I think we have like 20% diversity here, so we're
quite
doing
fair.
It's a start.
It's actually quite fair. A lot has been said. A lot is going to be said, I'm sure, about AI. But because we have different industry representation today in the panel, I have tried to gather some of the key questions we have around this new technology. And we hope we're going to get to some answers actually today in a way or another. Therefore, my first question, I will start with Emilia also to respect the ladies' order. How will generative AI affect actually your industry and also the company? Because you're working for Google, there are lots of developments in terms of technology and AI. What do you think is going to be the impact on a short and long term? And I have to say your answers have to be fast and concise because we do have a time pressure.
Okay, I will try to be very fast. I think at Google, to begin with, AI is at the heart of everything we do. And I think we are very fortunate and lucky because being, a software company and, early adopters of AI, we work with many industries. So I think we touch all of them. My previous colleagues mentioned, gaming, but I think we are really proud to making huge advancements in healthcare, in banking, in government, in terms of what we're doing for the people. So I think in the era where we are being constantly told we have to do more with less, Gen AI, which is obviously it's a subset of AI, comes to help us in this space. because it helps us innovate, it helps us generate content, images, music, and in this way we can, optimize tasks that are redundant. It can help us, optimize workflows. So pretty much I would say all the stack that we have that we can leverage can help us be more productive. I think this is the first advantage of generative AI. And obviously, I think also my previous colleagues mentioned everything that is burning at this time, like reducing cost and using, a lot of solutions like virtual assistant, virtual reality, predictive. It can help us achieve all these goals.
Thank you very much, Emilia. I will go next actually to Remik. Remik, you are representing SolarWinds. Maybe you can also tell us a few things what actually SolarWinds is doing. And my question to you is, if you have already some examples, some AI pilots or already solutions implemented across the company that you can share with us actually and some of their benefits.
Yes, good morning, everybody, and thank you for having me and SolarWinds here. Yes, of course. So first and foremost, I would say that artificial intelligence is I would say, top interest of the company, generally speaking, because of, as we are coming, from the monitoring space, as our CEO says, and we truly believe we are about to enrich people's life. That's what we are trying, really to do, to help people, who are on the daily basis working, with the extremely complex IT environment. We truly believe that we can do more based on that, yes. So what I could do, the ultimate goal of what we've been doing is we would like to support people who are in charge of IT, simply, of the big infrastructures, big environments, yes. That is kind of, I would say, the purpose for existing of SolarWinds, yes. So we are very in charge of all the automatic related technologies which are based on machine learning. That is the simplest, answer I could do. Plus, we are transforming simply monitoring into something more reactive, less passive, less passive, I would say, more like dynamic. So it could be autonomous even platform within the time. And then the results of it. I could mention a lot of results. We are deeply involved in, for example, the event, which is, I would say, very important in our region. So Ukrainian war, we're delivering our technologies, and obviously we try to be hacked every day, I guess, So that is one big, example I could give. Also, we are serving large and small companies. And at that space, we've been using AIOps, for incorporating, this automation, as I discussed. The last would be, how we serve the companies developing code. Yes, we're helping, obviously, them with our AIOps,
So AI is already part of your business.
Yes, absolutely.
It's an unusual thing.
It's the most important thing, I believe, truly.
Okay. Thank you very much, Remik. Lawrence, you have been sitting in the CIO Council board for some time now. You are interacting with a lot of CIOs on the Romanian market. What do you feel? Do we have a right governance at the company's level? What are the CIOs telling you? Is there an AI governance in place? Do we know actually what's the right governance to steer this new technology? What are your thoughts on this one?
I think it's still early to talk about AI governance, actually. AI has become quite trendy with Gen AI, picking up speed. And actually AI has been around for many, many years. I remember the first deep learning, system that I've implemented was like 20 years ago, actually before 2003. But we didn't talk about AI back then. We were just applying the normal IT governance. We were, implementing a system. I think in the meantime, a lot has evolved that is bringing AI now to center stage. With internet, with connectivity, with cloud and access to data massively. And I think today AI governance actually is more related to, to the way we govern IT in relation to our businesses. But I think, the main point I see and the main realization I think for CIOs is that AI is a business topic. And I think, when we think about governance, when we think about, how we manage and how we put AI on the table, we should always remember AI is a business topic. AI should be and is going to be a CEO topic, not a CIO topic, not an IT topic. And from that perspective, I think, coming back to governance, what's important is to always consider it from a business case perspective. It's not only a technology that we invest in, it's not only a trend or a hype, but I think it's important to always ask ourselves the question, and I see this when I discuss with CIOs, what is the business value that AI is bringing? What is the business case? How is it driving business results? Because in all fairness, with every trend and every hype and every new technology that has arrived, we have seen situations when, particularly in Romania, we may have had a business case or we may have not had a business case, a positive business case. I remember call centers were a hype, but many times, automating call center interactions was not producing a positive business case for Romanian companies because the labor and the salaries of the call center reps were still low. It was just more expensive to implement the technology than to continue using people in the call center. So I would like to put that perspective, on the governance. And if there is one point I would pick, that point would be this one. We need to think of the business case, of the business value that the technology is providing. And what I see always, and particularly with AI, the business case and the business value comes from a specific custom-built use case and scenario for that particular business. There is nothing, at least for now, off the shelf that you can, just plug into your business and get results.
So AI, it's both a business and an IT topic. It cannot be done unless there is an alignment in business and IT. And I think that's a very important point of view, because sometimes we as CIOs, CDTOs, regardless of the title, we are being perceived as the drivers of the technology regardless, right? So the business case becomes an IT responsibility, but I truly share your point of view, Laurențiu. It's a joint decision, and the business must be the ones that actually drive this forward, given the benefits that this technology might bring.
What's essential for the CIO is to be in the driver's seat, as always.
Of course.
As with any technology, as with any trend, as with any new, topic that comes on the table.
Thank you. Thank you very much. My next question is actually for Răzvan, and I'm just going to share with you a news I was reading this morning. It was about Canada complaining about a government in China that they were putting a lot of fake news using actually artificial intelligence on social media. So it's already a big buzz about it, and it's actually not the first news that I read in this respect. Therefore, my question to you, Răzvan, is what are the ethics principles that we need to bear in mind when actually using AI? Do we have these ethic principles in place? What has to be done in this area?
Thank you, Andrea, and good morning, everyone. It feels very important speaking from this setup. Try to have a familiar discussion. So I guess on the topic of ethics of AI, companies have come to know quite quickly that the AI scales not only the solutions, but also scales some of the risks. And some of them have already been named so far. So we have the ethic in place, the bias that some of the solutions they show. And comes to my mind an example when an application in US is investigated because recommended to the doctors and nurses to pay more attention to white patients rather than sicker Black patients. There are also applications which can discriminate in terms of gender, and there are some good examples here. But the ethics do not stop here. We have also some issues in terms of data privacy. So how will we use the data? And we've seen that we need a lot of data for these models. How we own the data, how we acquire the data, how we sell it, how we use it. We have also the question of morality. So how artificial intelligence is used for the purpose it was designed, because it can be misinterpreted, can be used for manipulation. We have also the sustainability issue. The two, they come very close together, because I have a lot of discussions where sustainability strategies are pushed forward by the companies, but we have seen that implementing the AI will lead us in not a very long term that the consumption of energy, which may oversee and may all the targets which are established by the sustainability. So all of this, I think, leads to the conclusion that we need to go for a responsible and ethic AI. And the Secretary of State in the morning, they highlighted this aspect of an ethical and responsible AI. How we can do that? There are some, I think, there is not a clear prescription for that, but some steps that can be done, and they start with the training of the talents, with the training of the people on what does it mean an ethical and responsible AI, train the engineers on the biases, or mostly on the avoidance of biases, on the security and on the robustness of the models, train from the beginning on the product management, how we should embed the ethic and responsible AI, train, of course, the leadership, which is very important because also SolarWinds said so. We are going together with the leadership. The leadership needs to understand what is a responsible and ethical AI. Then we go to design and development. We need to embed in the design and development these principles. We need to have metrics. We need to have criteria from the design that embed the ethic and responsible AI. We need a system of monitoring, how we do that in terms of reporting, auditing, and in terms of accountability of the results of developing and using the artificial intelligence solutions across the company. And I truly believe, also being more of a process-oriented guy, that governance is something that should give this balance and should keep using artificial intelligence in an ethical and responsible way by making clear flows, clear governance and strategies in terms of ethical and responsible AI.
Thank you, Răzvan. Iurie, you are representing a legal firm, and I have actually a personal curiosity. First one is if you already had any cases concerning AI, I don't know, data privacy, any topic. And I would also like to get your opinion because, AI is collecting data from all aspects of our lives, right? So how is the data privacy law, how does the data privacy law has to change to actually get us protected from this immense usage of the personal data?
Well, the good news is that we already have a good privacy legislation. It's the famous GDPR, General Data Protection Regulation, which is in force and applicable since 2018. So each time when you have an AI system which uses personal data, meaning information which identifies an individual directly or indirectly, you will also have to comply with these data protection rules. Now, of course, it is not always simple. And coming to your question, yes, we had projects with our clients involving AI, and it's not that simple to comply with those rules because the legislation was written back in 2016, being applicable since 2018. And back then, the technical level was other, the expectations were different. So we now have to apply the rules from 2016 to the realities from now. So giving some examples, starting from the beginning, from the collection of data. You collect data from where? From public sources, or from individuals directly, or from your own databases. You previously collected data for other purposes, and you have to ask yourself in that moment, do I have a purpose which is connected with that initial purpose? Because in this case, we have a problem of limited purpose. So we have to ensure that the purpose is limited. And strictly connected with this one, transparency. We have to be transparent with individuals. We have to inform them about how their personal data are used. And it's very difficult sometimes when you do not collect the data directly from individuals. Of course, there are certain exceptions from these rules. You have to avoid the information, but those exceptions are strictly applicable. So you have to be sure that those exceptions apply to you. If you have already provided a privacy notice to individuals, you have to make sure that that Second use of your data is also covered by the privacy notice. And if you did not cover that, you have to cover it. And if you did not provide the privacy notice initially, you have to do it. Now, we work with our clients in order to ensure that the information which is provided to individuals is sufficient in order for them to understand the AI system, but in other way, not to provide them too much information in order not to overload them, and to provide the information in such a manner in order to be clear for a person who is not technically sophisticated. Now, another challenge we have in our data protection legislation, the data subject requests of your rights. So you have to, as a company, you have to be able to manage the requests from individuals. They may come and say, I want to delete my data, I want to update my data, I want to correct my data, I want to know what data do you have about me. And you, as a company who deals with AI system, must be able to respond. And if you read the data protection authorities who have published guidances on AI in connection with data protection, they all say, your AI systems must be designed from the beginning in such a manner that when the person comes and asks something about their data, you must be able to provide it, to update data, to correct data, to delete data, to provide information about data. Our clients say it's very difficult to do that because sometimes the system has been already designed, so it wasn't considered from the beginning. So there are very many difficulties from this perspective. Then another very important aspect regards the data minimization. So as you all know, we have this principle in data protection legislation, which says you must use as few data as possible in order to attain the purpose. And on the other hand, you have machine learning, which use large amount of data, and you have to reconcile these two areas. Of course, data minimization means that you must train your system with information which is not personal data. In your system, you must use information which is as much depersonalized as possible. So maybe you cannot anonymize it, but at least try it to be less possible to match the identity of persons and so on. Of course, these are just a few examples, but from the privacy perspective, you also have to consider aspects like internal privacy policies. You have to include in your internal documents information about who does what are the roles of individuals dealing with AI systems, the trainings which come hand in hand with privacy policies, because our data protection authority constantly says that the privacy policy is not sufficient. You must also provide training to individuals to pinpoint the main aspects of the privacy policy, what that person needs to understand. Data protection impact assessments, those assessments which are done with regard to processings which pose high risks, and AI systems frequently pose high risk for individuals. And of course, security of data. Security of data, because you have to design your AI systems in such a manner in order to ensure protection and security of data. So coming back to your question, I would say that not necessarily data protection legislation needs to change, but it's other way around. The AI systems need to change in order to adapt to the data protection legislation. But of course, certain adjustments need to be made, because as I said, the legislation from 2016 does not match the current realities. But we must all understand a fact. Even if we bring the legislation to today's realities, today's technical realities, tomorrow our legislation will still be one step behind, because the technology advances, the technologies move forward, and the legislation still needs to keep pace.
Thank you very much. It's indeed a complex topic, and I also feel that it's not so well known also at the users level. So maybe we will touch base on this one also. What do I need to know as a normal user when I actually put all my data in an AI chatbot tool or system, and how do I protect myself, right, without all this educated information? Coming back to Emilia, Google, it's very active in terms of its involvement in the society via many actions that you guys are doing. My question to you is, what do you feel actually that the governance at the country's level can actually take from the AI benefits to influence in a positive way the society? And if you can also share with us one or two examples from your activity.
Yes, of course. And I'm gonna say something about your previous example with China. We actually have a lot of numbers and statistics that are publicly available that top countries in the world that, governments in terms of numbers and their investment in AI, we have US, who is at the top, and they committed more than $1 billion in AI just to increase and infuse the power of that into their community. Second place is Canada, and then it's China and UK. So China is one of the top countries in the world that is hugely investing, and you told us, unfortunately, in good purposes all the time, but they do have a lot of interest in AI. And I think, it's something that comes from person to business to government. And I think it should be a top priority because it can touch so many aspects of our community. And here I'm thinking of a few examples, and we can give some examples from Bucharest. Like, I think some advancement that is already publicly available in more, let's say, Western countries, for example, monitoring traffic flow. All of us know how many hours every day we spend in traffic, we stop at red lights, it's super crowded. So I think one of the biggest positive things would be to monitor it. And how would it be, during the night to have all the traffic lights on green light, because we have cameras that can see and sensors to see how many cars are on the road, how many people, and, depending on this to get us on the right path. And then I would say a second huge thing that it can do for the community is in terms of healthcare. Right now, all we know, everyone we know, if you change doctor is a nightmare. They don't have our records, they don't have our medical history, and then you spend a lot of time. You have to do, tests all over again. So let's imagine, in a dystopian world that, all doctors from all, private and public hospitals, they have access to our medical records. And then you just by clicking a button, they can pull out, all your history, and then maybe reduce the time with hours, days, or even months to a result. Also, I think something really, really important is to the ability to process huge amounts of data, because we have increased the amount of data that we work with. Obviously, data is the new petrol. So I would say the public sector is one of the industries that works with the biggest amounts of data. But right now, we cannot do any kind of analysis on that. We cannot help the public with that. I would say the workers in the public sector spend a lot of time right now with redundant tasks, repetitive tasks, and I think it would be a huge help if we can use AI to somehow, optimize and automate a lot of these tasks that take a lot of time, and then our workers can really focus on things that matter for the community. I would say these are just a few examples, but again, we can discuss about, preventing cybersecurity attacks, protecting the country, but we can spend here hours. So
thank you.
I will just focus on those.
Thank you, Emilia. Those are indeed very good points. And I can also share actually one from the industry. I'm also representing from the utilities. We are also testing AI for all the products and services that are going to be more sustainable. As we are in a big energy transition these days, for us, AI is going to be an important tool actually to secure we really managed to succeed in this transition towards zero emissions. My next question goes actually to Laurențiu and to Remik, and it's more on the organizational level, because they say in order to keep actually the pace with the the high-speed developments that the technology is bringing, of course, AI itself, the organization has to reinvent themselves from like 3 angles. It's the technology side, the talent, and the organizational capabilities. What's your view, Laurențiu? Where are we today in terms of people skills? Can we handle such a technology with the existing workforce? And the same question for you, Remik.
Of course we can. The question is rather, as you asked, where are we? I think, as I was saying at the beginning, AI is picking up a lot of speed, by bringing together many elements. And I don't see it as much as a revolution, but rather as, as an evolution and as an explosion of all these things coming together. And when it comes to readiness, I think it's a quite typical adoption topic that we have to handle on the business side. I think, embracing and accelerating and adopting AI is more linked to people being ready for it, to processes being adjusted in the organization, to regulatory and governance being ready to do it. And from that perspective, again, we don't have to invent the wheel to achieve this readiness, but rather to apply, this is my view, to apply the good old, change management and change adoption and, transition that we've been doing in many businesses, in many business areas for so many years. And again, this, of course, contains an element of training, upskilling, and actually refreshing skills of the workforce, of the people, of the employees. But equally important, it should address the other elements of, again, changing the processes, changing the decision-making, and changing the way the business works, the way the processes are organized.
Thank you, Laurențiu. Remik, do you have the right skills and capability at SolarWinds to really handle this AI revolution?
I see it slightly differently, honestly speaking. I think this technology got some potential, to make the revolution. It doesn't make the revolution by itself, but it can help us, And why? Because it could give us, enormous productivity boost, I would say, from one perspective, so the company, let's say, perspective. From the people perspective, we could gain some, as I said, we would like to enrich life, so we would gain, for example, a piece of time for ourselves. Let's say that might be the outcome of it. But how to gain it? I see one generic issue, I would say. And that issue, which we're gonna be, like, it's related, with the data on which you may train the solution, yes? So it's a very simple rule. If you cover, with this solution, just a piece of your, environment, then the results gonna be related, on this piece of a infra. That is one big, I would say, step we have to go through. Maybe to centralize decision about this. I truly believe that this is something we need, a centralized decision, due to the facts I've mentioned. Also, I see some kind of a very local value of this kind of implementation that is related to the fact that we Eastern Europeans are heavily influenced by the Westerners, yes? And it's a very easy task for them to pull someone, talented and everything. So that is related to what was said by Radek about the talents, for example, yeah? So from this perspective, if we properly cover from the management side, the issue, so to say, the subject, we could use the technology to support us, yes, in terms of these issues. I would mention this at first. We have to change, the way we look at. We typically split things, like to make them easier, so to say. I would say with AI, because it's capable of completely different things, like it could recognize patterns which are basically not recognizable for human beings or very heavily recognizable. And for AI, it's just like, ordinary task, I would say. We may have to, like implement change of our thinking, and let this solution be efficient, I would say, yeah, and properly use it how we should use it, you know, like not to copy paste our, let's say, errors from the past, like, you know, but maybe to take it and open ourselves for this, because as I said, it's not like in a typical business situation where the gains go to the companies, but this one also could help our lives.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Răzvan, what excites you or scares you the most about AI? Can you give us one example on the good side and one that you still have on your mind and you have seen actually it's becoming a real issue within the industry you've been interacting with?
I will answer your question, but first I want to point out a bit something on what my colleagues have said, because I truly believe that implementing AI doesn't make a company AI capable. And AI is much more powerful than what we used to have, because you know, as it was said during the morning, so up until now you said to the platform or the application what they need to do and they did it. But now they might come with solutions, they might come with alternatives. So implementing AI across organization needs a proper governance and needs the proper governance starting now, because if we are to think of this after we're going to have in the organizations, many platforms, many applications, all of them with different solutions or different outcome, it might be too late. And maybe now is the time to think of, for example, who's going to lead the AI program in our organization. Are we going to talk about a chief AI officer? Are we going to which is going to respond to chief executive officer or to the CEO officer, CEO? What model are we going to implement in the organization?
Yeah, that's the governance that you also
the governance, but it's how you do it. You do it centralized. How you develop the AI across organization? Do you do it centralized across all functions or business, or you create small teams in various locations, various functions, and various organization, or you do it a hybrid model? It comes with pluses and minuses. It comes with investments, and it comes with a different strategy. So, and then comes the problem of monitoring. How you monitor this? What is the setup to monitor the outcome and the development of these solutions? And to answer to your question, so what scares me at the first point, it will be this, that we are, so there are a lot of challenges that we have. We are rushing and are looking at the only point in time how an AI could solve a problem, an immediate, short-term problem, but the implications are for medium, for long term, because these solutions are here to last. And as we do them more thoroughly and more with the medium to long-term view, we're going to benefit out of them. And what I appreciated this is basically this advantage and this immense opportunities to further develop and to further develop with the humans. Doesn't mean AI that is going to exclude the humans, but there are immense opportunities in each of these applications that can create opportunities for humans as well. So I think this is something very exciting, and I think we are living on good moments, because the ideas they were here for 20 years ago, technology for 10 years ago, but they only started to be implemented or actually made it scalable 5 years ago. So.
Thank you, Răzvan. Iurie, my question to you is more related actually to the education towards AI. What will be your advice for the CIOs in the room and the ones which are also watching us online? Are we in the driving seat to start talking more about AI within our organization, explaining to all the employees how do they have to use their data, how precautious they have to be? What's your view? Are we there from an education perspective, or still a long way to go?
Of course, there is still work to do, because I think I see it from two ways. From one perspective, of course, you as an organization must explain to your own employees how they have to deal with AI systems, how to interact, how to use it. And on the other hand, you have to train your own employees how to transmit this information to users. So on the one hand, you have to explain to your own employees, and then those employees have to provide the information forward, because as I previously said, you have transparency obligations. You have a transparency obligations deriving from data protection legislation, but you also have data, transparency obligations deriving from the new AI regulation, which is now currently in the course of adoption. So the companies will have to communicate more in order to make people understand how their data are used on one hand and how the system, the AI system, impacts the individuals, the users. So all this information must be provided in a way which is clear. And if that person does not understand sufficiently well how the system affects him or her, he or she may come to the company and ask additional information. And the people from organization must be able to explain. And of course, we have those situations when even the companies cannot fully understand the modality in which the system works, the black box. So you have to make sure that the information is delivered in a meaningful way.
Thank you very much. I think the discussion on AI can go for hours. We don't have enough time today to actually tackle all the topics that these new technologies is bringing. In the closure of our panel, I would like to ask each of you for a sort of a piece of advice, a takeaway for all the colleagues in the IT community present here today on AI. What are the main kind of takeaways that I need to learn out of today? What do I need to pay more attention to? What's your piece of advice for them concerning AI? Very short, please. Laurențiu, please.
For me, the key messages, and mainly, for the CIOs, as we are all CIOs here, the key messages would be three. AI is a business IT topic. AI does have a cost, by the way, and we need to create the custom-built business case, the custom-built use case for our business, for our specific situation, so that we can understand how we position it. So I think, with these three elements in mind, and with the desire to still to be in the driver's seat and to drive the AI agenda of your company, I think this is, for me, the most important at this point.
Thank you. Răzvan?
I was hoping it could go on the other way, but
I can start if you want.
No, I'm okay. So I think I'm the governance guy in the panel. So I'm going to insist on the ethics and responsible AI, which I truly believe it's very important at this stage. And we have seen the effects of using AI in a very discretionary manner, and we know the scandals of the stealing of data, Trump elections, and so on and so forth. And I truly believe this is the moment when we have the applications, when we know it is possible now after 20 years, to channel them in the right direction, to make them ethical, because we've seen there are a lot of biases, not because of the applications, because of the humans, because the application is not about data. They are not in itself, they are not biased. We make them as such. That's why it's in our power to design them, to train our people, to develop the solutions in an ethical and a responsible way. And I would add also sustainable, because we live in a sustainable world, or at least we want to live in a sustainable world. And if we want to implement AI at the same time, those two apparently, at least at this moment, they don't go hand in hand. So we need to be careful on that.
Thank you, Răzvan. Remik.
Thank you. I'm going to say with a statement that we are the company not delivering AI on a generic purpose, for building, I don't know, generic solutions. We are in a very tight space. Even if this space is broad and important, it's very specialized. So that is my first comment, which I would like to say. It's different than generic AI. That is first. Second, which I want to say for CIOs, that technology already exists. Okay? You could do this kind of things. That's what I wanted to say. It's just a matter of look at it, maybe from the slightly different perspective, but you've got a tool which could help the productivity from the company perspective, but from your team perspective or the talent management perspective, or even wider knowledge management, let's say within the company, that technology already exists. That's what I wanted to say. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, I will present the things from the legal perspective, and I would like to point out that there is a AI regulation, which is currently negotiated. It is currently in the trialogue phase, so the Commission, European Commission, European Council, and the European Parliament are now discussing to finalize the document, and hopefully they will reach to a conclusion and will adopt the document in the first part of the next year. And the companies will have 2 years or 1.5 years, depending on the version, to implement everything, because the document will become applicable sometime in 2026. And it's not enough time, because we know from the previous experience of GDPR, when it became, it was enforced in 2016, and the company said, okay, we have 2 years before it becomes applicable. And it wasn't enough time, because in 2019, when GDPR became applicable, the market was not ready. So I expect that the same thing will happen with the AI regulations, because there are a lot of rules which have to be complied with, and the companies must, first of all, map all the areas where they have AI systems, and to ensure that they are complied with.
Thank you. Emilia, you've got enough time now to think
Yes.
even more
Last
examples.
but not least, I think I'm going to have, a very googly advice. And what I would like to leave with the room is just, be open-minded and take everything with a pinch of salt. And when I'm saying this, I just want to give a piece of advice. Don't think about AI through the lens of a science fiction Hollywood movie, in which AI means that someday in the future, robots will outthink us, will outsmart us, and then we will have a war with cyborgs. It's not like that. I think the main scope of AI is just for humans to be more efficient, and at the end of the day, just make our life easier.
I would also add that we need to bear in mind that there are still so many benefits that we can benefit as a society, from an enhanced healthcare, an improved education, I don't know, even more increased creativity. We should be open-minded enough to actually foresee also these benefits, but indeed treat this technology carefully, respecting the laws in place, and actually manage to drive the best out of it, rather than always looking at the risk. I think you are all equipped now to go back to your offices, write your AI strategy. You've got the legal, the governance, the people, the technology side. It was a very nice and interesting discussion, and I'd really like to thank all the panelists for their contribution. And if there are any questions from the audience before we wrap up the panel. Seems to be all clear. Thank you very much for your attention, and thanks to all of you for your contribution. Big round of applause.
Da, mulțumesc foarte mult, Andreea, excelentă moderare, și mă bucur că ai fost astăzi alături de noi și am reușit să mai balansăm un pic din gender, diversity.